Hey everybody, this is Laura with McLeod Homestead. Welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time you've been here, welcome to my channel. I hope you like my channel and you come back and you like and you share and you subscribe. I am in my kitchen today or I should say tonight. The day is over. So tonight I am in my kitchen and it is almost Easter. I want to make some cannolis. Are they going to be for Easter dinner? Probably not. However, I do not foresee me and the boys eating them all before Easter, so I might do something and take some with us to our Easter dinner, because this year I am not hosting Easter. I will be going to my family's. Now I could buy the cannoli shells and make this simple and easy and a 20-minute job, but I choose not to do that. I have found that when I make my cannoli shells from scratch, they taste so much better. So much better. So here's a little story. I started making cannolis, and I don't make them very often. I usually get in the mood once a year, maybe twice a year, to make them. And many people will go out and they will buy the metal molds to make the shells. Sorry, my dog is like trying to move the camera on me. My father, he has been gone for 17 years, and when I first talked about making the cannoli shells, I talked about going and buying some of those metal molds. And he says, don't waste your money. So he told my late husband what kind of wood to get and how to prepare and treat them. And guys, here they are. Still in excellent shape. Not made out of metal, but in fact made out of wood. And these are actually perfect because I pull these out for more than just making cannoli shells. If I have something small that I want to roll out, these work perfect. Little kids, when they have been here and they wanted to help me roll out the dough to make cookies, this works so much better for their little hands than the big rolling pins. So these have been used often. They get treated in oil when they get deep fried. When I make the shells, I treat them just like any of my rolling pins. They do not go in soapy water. They just get washed with hot water and then left to air dry. So every time I make my cannoli shells, I have a little piece of my dad and my late husband with me. It's kind of ironic today. While I do not celebrate his earthly birthday anymore because he's no longer with us, I celebrate his heavenly birthday, which is the day he passed away. Today would have been his 55th birthday had he still been on this planet. And he did like cannolis. So it's just kind of funny how it goes together. So honey, happy earthly birthday. You are loved and missed. All right. Now, before we start the cannoli shells, we're going to get a start on the filling. And I am going to bring you along for that. So sit back, grab your drink, whether it's a cup of coffee, soda, water, whatever you got. And I hope you enjoy this video. And maybe it'll get you in the mood to try making them yourself as well. For this first part, I have got a strainer, I have a pan, and a lot of people use cheesecloth. I've got this that I use instead. And the first thing I am going to do when making this is I am going to put 2 pounds of whole milk ricotta cheese in here. It'll open. Now, the reason we strain the ricotta cheese is because we want it nice and dry. And sometimes ricotta cheese can be very runny. And actually this is not, which is awesome. But what we will do still is we will put this in the strainer and we will strain any moisture out of the ricotta. Now, some people will tell you that you want to put it in the strainer and let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. I do not believe I'm going to have to do that at all with this cheese. So what I will do is I will just cover it. I will put a bowl on it for weight. And then for weight, I'm just going to use a can of pineapple slices. And I will set this in the refrigerator while I start to prepare making the cannoli shells. Now that we have our ricotta in the refrigerator straining, we are coming over to the counter, and for this first part, I am going to use my food processor. You really don't have to. You can just do it by hand. I choose not to. So, the first thing we're going to do is get this food processor set up, and then I'm going to start adding the ingredients. Now, the attachment that I am going to use is the metal blade. It's nice and sharp. The first ingredient that I am going to put in here is 2 cups of all-purpose flour. There's our 2 cups of flour. We will use some more flour later on. And to this, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of light brown sugar. You can use regular granulated sugar as well. To that, I'm going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. This is how I measure mine. And then we are just going to whisk this together. Now, it calls for 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. This is butter I have made. It does have a little bit of salt, so you need to take that in mind. If you use salted butter when you make yours, you might want to add a little less salt. But you want 3 tablespoons, and mine are measured out from the container that I use. And you are actually going to want to cut that into 6 pieces. And then we will add this to our flour mixture, and we will pulse it until we get it looking nice and crumbly. Trying to get all them little pieces down in there. I'm not sure if you can see, but this is nice and crumbly. Our next ingredient will be a 1/2 cup of Marsala wine, and you want to make sure that it is chilled. So we will pour our 1/2 cup of wine in. And we will also add 1 beaten egg. And then we will just mix this until we get a nice dough ball formed. All right, I have the dough mixed up, and I put a piece of saran wrap here. I put the dough in a bowl because I don't know if it was that my egg was bigger or what, but I had to add more flour to get it to dough consistency. So I am now just going to put it onto the saran wrap. We're going to pat it down just like so, and we are going to wrap it up in the saran wrap, and I will set the timer for 1 hour. And we will start making the shells. All right, everybody, now that our dough is in the refrigerator chilling, we're going to leave it there for an hour. And I am going to clean up this mess while I get set up for us to make our next mess, which will be, we will be putting the shells together, and we will be frying them. So do not put your flour away. You will be needing that yet. All right, everybody. Do you hear that noise? That is my oil heating up to 365 degrees. Now, the dough has been in the refrigerator for 1 hour. I've got 1 egg that's been beaten, and I got some extra flour, and I've got my rolling pin. Now, they say to use like a circular muffin cutter, a 4-inch one. I don't have one, but I do have one of my big coffee mugs, and I dipped it in flour. And that's what I will use to make my shells. So as we are over here, I am going to sprinkle a little bit of flour onto the counter. We are not going to work all of this dough at the same time. So I'm going to cut about 1/3 off. Mix it into a ball. And then set it on the flour. The rest of this dough I will put back into the refrigerator until we are ready to work with it. So when we work this and roll it out, it's just like any other dough. However, we want to make sure this gets nice and thin. We want it 1/4 of an inch or smaller. All right, now that our oil is up to temperature, let me show you how we assemble these. We take one of these rollers, and all we do is set it on here, and we wrap it right around. We dip our finger in the egg and just seal them together. You want to get the dough as thin as you possibly can. So I can feel the counter right on the other side of that. So that is nice and thin. As I stated, my cup I already dipped in flour. And I'm just going to start making circles. I'm only going to cook one of these at a time. So we're going to drop it down in. Normally I don't use the basket, so I will have to watch it, but we want them a nice golden color. I've got a baking sheet here with a paper bag on it that we will use. Ooh, see how it floated when it was done? We're going to let that sit for a minute. And then we will set this on the paper bag so it can soak up the excess oil. And as hot as that is, I will use my tongs and grab that right out of there. Look how beautiful that shell is. And as it cools, we will be able to pull this right off of the dowel. Take this. Drop it down in. And that's all there is to it. Not real complicated. So I am going to get these all baked up. So I am going to get these all fried up. Now I have decided I am not making all of these into cannoli shells because I do want to have some for dip. So I'm going to use this dough, but as you can see over here, I've just cut different size squares, and I'm going to do that with the rest of the dough, and we're just going to deep fry them just like these cannoli shells. That's got another minute. Every once in a while, we get one that comes apart. Now, even when I'm just making these strips, I still want it the same thickness as if I was going to roll them. You see how easy this dough cuts? It's beautiful. And I'm not making any special sizes. I'm just cutting them. All different shapes and sizes. No big deal. This one I want out of the way though. But I do want to show you how easy it is. This is one that is all cooked. It's cooled. All I do is twist it and it comes right off. But as you can see, when I take them off of the dowels, I just kind of lean them up against the edge so any oil can run off and drain and soak into the paper bag. All right, now all I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some of these in this basket, and I really don't want them over top of each other, so I'm only going to do a couple at a time. I can probably fit 5 in this round. Well, maybe 6. Ouch. And I'm going to set it in the oil. These will not take as long to cook. And when these are done, it'll be the same thing. I will set them on the paper bag to soak up the excess oil. See how those are already floating? These ones I might have to flip over to get both sides nice and browned. See how nice and brown and crisp they are. So I wanted to show you one now that it is cooled down a little bit. It is nice and golden color, but it still fluffs up, gets air in it, so it's will work good to dip into some cannoli. There we have it. The actual very hardest part of making cannolis is done. That is making the shells or the little pieces for scooping up the dip. So now we are going to get into the refrigerator and we're going to check on that ricotta because it's been about 2.5 hours, and we're going to see if there's anything draining off of it. If there is, I will let it drip all night because it's getting late. If there's not, we're going to get this mixed up and we're going to try it tonight. So let's go check. All right, we're going to remove the can. We're going to remove the bowl. And I'm not going to open that up yet. I'm just going to lift that up. There is some liquid that is drained off. Let's open it up. We'll see how dry it is. I can take that and pretty much shape it. So I am going to say that that is dry enough, because this actually is soaked all around it. So I'm going to put that ricotta into this bowl. All right, we have our ricotta, and to that we're going to add 1.5 cups. We're going to add 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. And I'm just going to use my fork to start mixing it all in really good. Now I have this all mixed up nice. There's no clumps, nothing. Now we do have some other ingredients we are going to add, but as you can see, I have another bowl here because I'm going to do 2 different flavors. In this one, I am going to do mini chocolate chips. And in this one, I'm going to do cherries. So let's get some brought over. To the one that I am going to add the mini chocolate chips to, I am going to add a teaspoon of the vanilla extract. To the cherry one, I am going to use a teaspoon of cherry juice. And then I'm going to dump in about 1/4 cup of the mini chocolate chips, little tinies. We're just going to mix that in really, really well. This dip or this filling, however you want to word it, is so easy to make. Like I said, if you didn't want to make your cannoli shells, you could have this whipped together within a half hour once you have it strained. These, any flavor that you want. You don't have to do the flavor I'm doing. I'm going to cut some cherries up. A lot of people use orange peel, imitation, or they use orange flavoring. I mean, it's whatever flavor you want to make it. You can do it. You just want to watch you don't make this too runny. Now that we have these all mixed up, normally I would use a piping bag to fill these. However, you don't want to fill these until you are going to be serving them. Otherwise, they get soggy. So I am just going to stuff this one. And as you can see, these are little enough that it's easy enough to stuff with a spoon. And then what a lot of people will do is they will dip more chocolate in. And then a lot of people will sprinkle powdered sugar on top. I am not doing that. And there you go. My cannoli. And now comes the time we've been all waiting for. We've got one of the chips with the cherry, and I threw a little of the mini chocolate chips on it. Mmm. Oh my goodness, that's so good. This is why I can't make cannolis a lot. This is my cannoli, the chocolate chip one. So delicious, guys. Mmm. If my little guy was out here and wasn't sick with the stomach bug, he would be giving this 2 thumbs up. Can't wait till he's feeling better to try some. All right. I'm going to get this filling put in the refrigerator. And I'm going to store the shells in an airtight container. And then right before we get ready to serve them, I will stuff them. And they're going to go to Easter dinner for dessert. All right, so this is where I am going to end the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on the next video. Toodles, everybody. So good.